Hello everybody and welcome back to Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing and welcome back to Season 2 of the Junior Saloon Car Championship official E-Series. And I hope you all had a very good Christmas and a happy new year, albeit we are only 4 days into it, so let's hope it's been as good as possible so far. You join myself, Jack Worrell, in the commentary box once again to cover off all of this evening's racing action here at Snetterton. Of course, we've got Tom O'Farrell, the broadcast director, doing a brilliant job as always, Mick Sutton, the series organiser, and we've got Scott Thorne back in the safety car this evening. And after, I'm sure, what was a very busy couple of weeks, we welcome back Craig Johnny to the Clerks of the Course office. And here at Snetterton, you know, you've got big curbs. That's usually what it's famed for. We have seen something similar previous. We see them at Cadwell Park every now and then at round 2, but round 1 is really where we kicked everything off at Brands Hatch Indy. Cadwell Park was round 2, quite a challenging circuit for some. Castle Combe, a quick circuit for round 3, an even quicker circuit. We went to Thruxton just before Christmas, a very busy round for some. At round 4, of course, we are here on the 300 layout of Snetterton for round 5, and then we go over to Wales for round 6, Alton Park, the island layout for round 7, and then we go back to where it all started for the 8th and final round of the season, back on the Brands Hatch Indy layout. And throughout every single one of those rounds, the drivers aren't just fighting for bragging rights, they are fighting for prizes as well. The prizes are as follows. If you finish 3rd, you get a 32-inch gaming MSI monitor or £200 cash. Definitely be going for the monitor if that was me. If you finish 2nd, you get the Perfect Acceleration 3 Sim Racing Rig, which, if anything, can just slingshot your sim racing potential. And if you win the series outright, you get free entry into the Junior Saloon Car Championship Scholarship. And never mind slingshotting your sim racing career, how about an actual career in motorsport as well? That could be the key to starting it all. And every single round, we do vote for a driver of the round, and they win a pair of sim racing gloves. We have had a few already, as you'd expect. Of course, we are 4 rounds in. The first driver of the round was Leo Bell. Round 2 was Lewis Stannard. Matt Guest was the driver of the round at round 3. And Kyle Felbus, after some brilliant performances, finally picked up driver of the round at round 4. In terms of the championship standings, there has been a little bit of shuffling round as penalties have slowly been applied, and we've had the first points penalties applied as well. But up at the front end of affairs, 11 points clear after drop scores, is Kyle Felbus. Nathan Williams, his championship rival at the moment, like I say, only 11 points back, sat there in 2nd place. Jordan Taylor, Kyle Felbus' teammate for HRT Racing, is sat there in 3rd. And then it is Harley Connolly and Luke Sintler, your top 5. But if you look down the order, we've still got drivers tying on points. We've got Hayden Gray and Levine Kishaw tying for 11th. We've got Harry Dios and Olivia Kronoska tying for 16th place. So it is all to play for. Now we are past the halfway point in the season, so there is still a lot up for grabs. In terms of how tonight is going to play out, qualifying is already underway. So if we have a look and see how the drivers are currently coping with this Snetterton circuit, Nathan Williams, if you ask him, he will be very, very happy indeed. At the moment, up on provisional pole position. But if you look at the times, there's not much provisional about it at all. We're already, halfway through the session. He's posted a 2-minute 24.717. Luke Sintler over a second back on a 2-minute 25.822. That just shows how quick Nathan Williams is this evening. Harley Connolly is currently provisional P3, not too far away from that front row. Just needs to gain around about a 1/10 of a second, and he will find himself lining up in 2nd place come the end of the session. We've still got Oscar Robert Sazy by the looks of it to improve, so too with Olivia Kronoska and Jordan Taylor as well, a lot further down than what you would expect. So there's still a lot of drivers yet to improve. Harry Dios yet to post a time at the moment. There is Jordan Taylor. He's just weaving his way through the left and right at Brundle and Nelson, famed for the big curbs, then through the bomb hole. You will see on that HRT car a special livery on both cars, both Harry Dios, both Kyle Felbus and Jordan Taylor have a special one-off livery this evening dedicated to Ken Block, who sadly passed away around about this time last year. So it's a nice little show for him. Jordan Taylor through the final corner, avoids the curb nicely, gets a good run. He will be picking up potentially a little bit of slipstream. That will be from Lewis Stannard, but Jordan Taylor dives into the pit lane. So with still just under 7 minutes of the session remaining, we could see yet further improvements. Jake Wardle working his way through the final couple of corners and now towards the start-finish line. Will we see an improvement from him? Leo Bell improves upon his time with a 2-minute 27.561. Hugging the pit wall is Jake Wardle. Do we see an improvement across the line? No, we don't, unfortunately, that time through. So you'd suspect with, what, 6.5 minutes to go, this is where we'll slowly start to see packs form. And you can see on the track map on the right-hand side of your screen, if you look over towards sort of Brundle, Nelson, the Bombhole, Coram and Murray's, there isn't even a single driver. There's only one car on the Bentley Straight at the moment. Everybody is packed into what is pretty much Sector 1. And you'd expect more and more drivers just getting quicker and quicker and quicker. So the HFT cars, pardon me, not HRT, as I was saying, HFT have got that special livery this evening. There is the sister HFT car, Kyle Felvis, working his way through Hamilton now, then on the brakes in towards Oggies. Avoid that big sausage curb. Let the car run wide, but not too wide, because you want to shorten the line, but also not scrub off any of that speed, which can be so crucial to your run onto the Bentley Straight. And this is where you're flat out for a long while, and you will make use of all, what, 131 brake horsepower, or 98 brake horsepower, pardon me, that these Citroen Saxos have. They can go from 0 to 60 in almost 10 seconds. And they all run a 1.6 litre 8-valve engine, all limited to, in-game top speed to 120 miles per hour. You will see maybe a couple of the cars getting close to that as they work their way down the Bentley Straight. Through Brundle and Nelson goes Oscar Abruzzese, just nibbling the curbs, runs very wide though. And that will potentially be exceeding track limits, you'd imagine. So through the bomb hole he will go, which is very much a roller coaster ride, because you pitch the car in towards the apex and just allow that to pull the car through. Then it's the long right-hander at Coram. It's sort of got 2 or 3 apexes. There is a very specific technique on getting the car turned in and slowed down. Bouncing over the curbs is Oscar, and onto the start-finish straight he will go once again. There are, like I say, several different lines you can take through Coram. You can start out tight, let the car run wide, and that gives you an option to straighten up the braking as much as possible, or you can keep the car tucked in and slowly bleed onto the brakes, increasing the pressure that you put through. And usually that keeps the car balanced. By the time you get to the apex, all the speed has been bled off. So Oscar Abruzzese across the line, we didn't see an improvement from him that time through. Unfortunately, whilst time-wise he did exceed the track limits, unfortunately. Then on the brakes into the first of the hairpins at what is Montreal. I think that has been renamed now, actually, so I will make sure I can get the up-to-date names. I believe it has been named after a racing driver, so I will make sure I get the correct name for that one. It's through Wilson, pardon me. So into the almost sector 2, through Palmer you go. It's not really a straight, but it provides a very good overtaking opportunity as you stamp on the brakes in towards Agostini. And again, a couple of apexes you can take. You can take a mid-apex and let the car run wide, or take a late apex, but that does leave you vulnerable on the inside from any attacks from the cars behind. Drivers to watch. Who have we got? Nathan Williams has just set a purple sector 1, so he's going quicker than anybody else has gone, probably beating his own fastest lap, or fastest sector through sector 1. Under the bridge he goes, on the brakes, tricky braking zone, having to turn and brake. You can see the rear axle really deciding where the car goes in towards Brundle and Nelson. And after a very good sector 1, it looks like he's on for a good sector 2 as well, through the bomb hole and then over the crest before he arrives at Coram. You'd suspect maybe another improvement as well. It's a very short sector 3, so we'll only get updated on how quick his sector 2 was almost as he's exiting the final corner. So into Murray's he will go, nibble the curb just a little bit, get the car straightened up on the power, slightly slower through sector 2 unfortunately, so he's going to be fighting his own delta. He's got a 2-minute 24.717 to improve upon, not necessarily that he needs to, but towards the line he will go. Will we see an improved lap time? Yes, we will, albeit by 1/1000th of a second. A 2-minute 24.716 this time. So Nathan Williams, the consistency is absolutely fabulous. We'll keep an eye on the order as well to see if we've got any further chopping and changing. Jordan Taylor still yet to improve. Let's have a look down the order to see how he is doing. Personal fastest sector 1, you'd suspect personal fastest sector 2. Harley Connolly has crossed the line and is on the front row of the grid provisionally with a 2-minute 25.397. So a very quick lap from Harley Connolly. Breathing down his neck is Kyle Felvis. He's only less than a 10th back, really. So Kyle Felvis starting to apply that pressure. A couple of tenths back from Kyle is Luke Sintler, then it's Lewis Stannard and Leo Bell. Towards the line goes Jordan Taylor. Do we see him work his way up through the order? Do we ever? Onto the front row of the grid goes Jordan Taylor. A 2-minute 25.342, still with time to improve as well. He's got time for one more lap if he wants to get to pole position and pick up that bonus point. Very clean and tidy through turn 1. So as he works his way through Ritchie's and then up towards Wilson, controlling the brakes, a little bit of a lock-up. He's got some traffic ahead that he'll have to bear in mind as well. But for the moment, this is exactly what he needs to do. He's got Olivia Kronoska and Leo Bell just up the road. Even further is Lewis Stannard. You just saw him fly through shot there. So Jordan Taylor, if he can manage this traffic well, maybe the occasional flash of the lights just to encourage them to get out of the way, we may see yet further improvements from Jordan Taylor, and we may see a provisional pole sitter right at the end of proceedings here. There is the man he will be fighting, Nathan Williams, who has gone through Sector 1 again faster than he has gone all session long. So under the bridge he will go at the Bentley straight into the left and then the sharp right through Brundle and Nelson. Keeps the rear end in check, a lot tighter this time. That makes the run through Nelson much, much quicker. Bouncing over the curb, that might have killed off a little bit of momentum that he gained through the left and right. Over the bomb hole he will go. And then again back into that long, long right-hander at Coram. So careful just to keep that car balanced and make sure you're not letting the rear end slowly start to escape. Keeping it tight in, dab of the brakes, on the brakes hard this time, and then throw it into the left, bouncing over the curbs, a little bit on the exit as well. You'd suspect that will have cost him a little bit of time. And into the pit lane, yes, I think he realised he wasn't going to improve this time. So Nathan Williams into the pit lane. Jordan Taylor, will we see an improvement from him? It's not the fastest Sector 1 that we've seen so far. We are getting some good improvements further down the order. Albert Henriksen Bell has improved upon his fastest Sector 1. So too has Matt Guest. Into the pit lane comes Harley Connolly. So Jordan Taylor, you wouldn't expect to see push too hard. Whether he knows Harley Connolly is in the pit lane or not, although he will have to all of a sudden because Kyle Felvis has gone yet quicker, a 2-minute 25.241, so a tenth quicker than Jordan Taylor. If he wants to get back up on that front row, he needs to gain that crucial 1/10 of a second, but a good late improvement from Kyle Felvis. Bouncing over the curb through the final corner goes Jordan Taylor. Potentially cost him a little bit of time, so it's all about momentum in the Citroen Saxos, and running wide and bouncing over curbs, that's really where you start to lose the time. But towards the line he will go. Jordan Taylor with a 2-minute 25.342, his personal best, and does go onto the front row at the very, very last part of qualifying. So Jordan Taylor with a 2-minute 25.211. Provisionally, he's on the front row. I can't see an improvement from Luke Sintler on the way, so I don't think we will see that top 4 shovel around unless we get someone a little bit further down. Hayden Gray potentially, no, he comes into the pit lane. So too does Olivia Kronoska. Luke Sintler, whereabouts is he? He's just working his way through the tail end of this. Oh, he's working his way through Sector 2, pardon me, but don't think we will see any improvements from him. But a very, very good qualifying from Nathan Williams and Jordan Taylor and Kyle Felvis and Harley Connolly. Those top 4 through the race, you'd expect them to be absolutely nose to tail. But into the commentary box comes Nathan Williams. That is pole position, Nathan, and it seemed like it was fairly secure. By the time we'd got onto the live pictures, you were over a second clear, and from that point, nobody really got too close. They're still, what, half a second away? Good confidence boost going into this evening?
Yeah, it's a great confidence boost. Obviously, quali doesn't always turn into races, but half a second's a decent enough gap that hopefully, even if it closes off a bit, I should still have enough of an advantage to hopefully pull out a gap throughout the race.
And obviously, this is sort of half the job for race 1. You've put yourself in a good position, but sometimes being at the front can be quite a tricky job because you've got a field of cars behind you, and there may be a late break here and a lock-up there. So it can be quite a daunting prospect up at the front. But obviously, you've spent a bit of time there this season. Do you think that time at the front end of the order has built your confidence, not only in sort of the simulator, but it has generally as a driver as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's learning to drive, whereas you can't see people making a mistake. If somebody locks up and you're towards the back, it's much easier to see you can see the smoke, whereas driving at the front, you always have to keep an eye on the rear mirror, especially at the start, so make sure nobody is making a mistake, and if they do, you can avoid it.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been to we've dotted around the UK so far this season. Snetterton, is it a circuit you like? Maybe one that you don't like so much? Sort of talk us through how you're feeling going into tonight.
I have to say they're quite fast around here. I think Snetterton's one of my circuits I'm not the biggest fan of. I think my driving style doesn't suit the final 2 main corners where you have to brake diagonally. I think just due to the setup of run, I think my car is very twitchy through there, and more likely to make a mistake than other drivers who might have a bit more of a stable setup.
Well, you might not necessarily be comfortable, but I'll tell you one thing, Nathan, you are very, very quick this evening. So we'll let you jump back in the car and get ready for the first of 20-minute races. But best of luck, and hopefully we get to chat to you again this evening.
Thank you.
Cheers, Nathan. So Nathan Williams there, very, very quick indeed in qualifying, and I guess that is the confidence boost that you need with the championship still being as close as it is. So now it's all down to turning pole position into potentially a race win or a podium as well, because Jordan Taylor, Kyle Felbus, Harley Connolly, Luke Sintler, Lewis Stannard, the list really does go on. Leo Bell in 7th, and even further down, you could almost name the entire grid on drivers to watch out for this evening. And drivers I would like to see move forward, just looking through the qualifying standings at the moment. Olivia Kronowska, she's slowly been getting quicker throughout the season as well, and we've seen her in the top 10 and fighting in the top 6 at points as well, so keep an eye on Olivia for going up forward. Albert Henriksen Bell starting down in 9th. Harry Dios as well down in 13th. You'd expect to see him work his way up through the order. Matt Guest, a very strong Thruxton round, and definitely one to watch here at Snetterton. But Nathan Williams, what a lap, 2 minute 24.716, the fastest we saw anybody go in qualifying, and like we said, half a second quicker than Jordan Taylor that he will be lining up alongside. So we've got just a little while until the race gets underway, so obviously we'll take the time to say a massive thank you to obviously the sponsors and the supporters of Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing, one of those being Pro Sim Rig. Obviously, Freem UK, the series sponsor, they've done a brilliant job so far and been working very closely with both PASR and the JSCC just to make sure that this can happen. Of course, Mongrip Monte Carlo as well, producing some very, very nice timepieces. And we're just waiting for everything to sort itself out back end, and we will be able to get the grid to you in just a few moments' time. And obviously, if you are watching along at home, do let me know who you're supporting. If you jump in the YouTube chat or wherever you may be, if you just want to let us know who you are supporting this evening, it would be great to see. Great to know who to look out for as well. Let's have a quick look just to see, in terms of the championship standings, where we may need to keep eyes this evening. So if we have a look, we've got a number of drivers tying, as we mentioned earlier on. Two of those being Harry Dios and Olivia Kronowska. They line up, Harry Dios 13th, Olivia Kronowska 15th, so that's nice and close as well. We do also have Hayden Gray and Levine Kishore. Levine Kishore, unfortunately, isn't here this evening, so Hayden Gray is really in the best position possible, sat there in 10th in the mid-pack to try and pick up some more points. A little bit further up, we've got, 4 drivers split by 6 points. Matt Guest, Albert Henriksen Bell, Oscar Aberasese, Leo Bell as well. And then we get back to Hayden Gray and Levine Kishore. That mid-pack is really where we need to be watching this evening. I think that's where the championship sort of predominantly will be won or lost, because that's where we can see the mid-pack slowly start to settle down. But the grid is now available, so we will run you through how the drivers will line up this evening for round 5 here at Snetterton of the Junior Saloon Car Championship official E-Series. Lining up on pole position on his own at the moment is Jordan Taylor. You should expect Carl Felbus to jump in there in just a few moments' time. So it is Jordan Taylor lining up on pole position. Nathan Williams, pardon me, I've got the old results. Yeah, Nathan Williams, that was where I was getting confused. So Nathan Williams, there he is. So Nathan Williams lines up on pole position with Jordan Taylor alongside. I'm having a small issue on mine. There we go. Kyle Felbus will line up in 3rd place, with Harley Connolly lining up alongside on row 2 of the grid. Row 3 of the grid is Luke Sintler and Lewis Stannard. And then we get back to the drivers starting 7th and 8th. That's Leo Bell and Oscar Aberasese. Albert Henriksen Bell lines up in 9th, and Hayden Gray in 10th. Onto the 6th row of the grid, it is Matt Guest with Nathan Snaith for company. And Harry Dios will line up in 13th with Jake Wardle in 14th. And then it is Olivia Kronowska and Ollie Newton off at the very back row. So we're now just waiting to get the race underway. And one thing to note as well, the grid slots are rather separated here at Snetterton. Again, just one thing that the drivers may have noticed coming into this evening. So it's all down to really getting the best of the starts possible, because you're not necessarily right up behind the car straight away. At Cadwell Park, it's very, very condensed indeed. So here at Snetterton, it means that maybe if you're starting towards the front, it's a little bit safer heading in towards turn 1. This is the view of what Nathan Williams will see out the front of his Citroen Saxo. He will be waiting for those lights to illuminate red, and then as soon as they go out, as per usual, we will have a very, very busy turn 1 on the way, and it's a very quick turn 1 here at Snetterton. Ritchie's is famed for some rather enthusiastic driving, I think, going into turn 1, because it's very quick. It can lull you into a sense of confidence, and with the amount of runoff that there is, hopefully we don't need to use any. At least we do have the option to maybe avoid any sort of comings together. But the countdown continues, and we will be able to get the race underway very, very shortly indeed. Hopefully, I'm going to try not to commentator's curse, but hopefully we don't need any interventions, safety car or otherwise, coming into this evening. But we wait for the lights to come on, and we've had a jump start towards the mid-pack. So the red lights are on now. As they go out, it is Jordan Taylor that is there. I can't see Nathan Williams. I don't think Nathan Williams has managed to make the start. I think it was Oscar Abruzzi that jumped the start rather substantially and has already worked his way in towards the lead. Whereabouts is he? I can't see him there anymore. He's already working his way up towards Wilson by the looks of that. So Jordan Taylor on the road in the lead of the race, because you'd suspect quite a sizable penalty going the way of Oscar Abruzzi, but in theory he's done the right thing and just carried on. Harley Connolly is sat there in 3rd place. Kyle Felbus in 4th. Luke Sindler and Lewis Stannard battling away, a little bit of contact between the pair of them. I think Oscar is afraid of giving up any time because of a penalty on the way. Nathan Snaith is going very, very slowly through Wilson. I think contact there with Harry Dios, who found himself pointing the wrong way. Jake Wardle was involved in that one as well. Back up towards the front, so it's Harley Connolly in 2nd place, under pressure from Kyle Felbus by the looks of that. Heading up towards Agostini, it is still Jordan Taylor leading the way, unfortunately with Nathan Williams not there. Harley Connolly sat there in what is 2nd place. Then it is Kyle Felbus and Lewis Stannard running very, very wide there. Was Lewis Stannard, I think, edged towards the outside of the circuit by Luke Sindler. They're still side by side as they work their way through Hamilton. And then as they get closer and closer up towards Oggie's, dive on the brakes, it gets very congested once again, absolutely side by side, door handle to door handle, nothing to pick between the sort of top 6, top 7 at the moment. Onto the Bentley straight for the first time. Lewis Stannard is giving chase to Luke Sindler, absolutely nose to tail, making the most of what little draft assistance he can get. Leo Bell, Albert Henriksen Bell and Matt Guest all glued together nose to tail as well as we work our way down towards Brundle and Nelson. Kyle Felbus side by side now with what is Harley Connolly. Up the inside goes Kyle Felbus on the brakes, position made before they get to Nelson, bouncing over the curbs. He's got to be careful though not to run too wide, so Kyle Felbus will now be chasing down his teammate Jordan Taylor in the lead of the race. For the moment, it's looking rather sedate. As I say that, Jake Wardle very wide, jumps back onto the circuit in front of Olivia Kronoska. I think Holly Newton was caught up in that one as well, unfortunately. Through Coram goes a brilliant battle, as Albert Henriksen Bell is involved in that one. Leo Bell, Hayden Gray and Matt Guest all involved. They work their way through 2 by 2 through the final corner. And we managed to tick lap number 1 in the book. Oscar Abruzzi into the pit lane, presumably to serve a drive-through or stop-go penalty. Jordan Taylor inherits now the overall lead of the race. Kyle Felbus in 2nd, Harley Connolly in 3rd, and Luke Sindler. Through the pit lane goes Oscar Abruzzi, serving that drive-through penalty. Past pit exit goes a massive pack of cars. Leo Bell, led by Albert Henriksen Bell, who we're riding on board with now. He's got Matt Guest just behind, still being chased down by Hayden Gray. Up towards Wilson will Albert Henriksen Bell have a little look now. He plays it safe and just sits on the coattails of the cars behind very, very quickly. And you thought there might have been contact there. That was Matt Guest late on the brakes. You could see him approaching in the rear view mirror. And there was a little bit of contact, but Matt Guest, no advantage gained there. Albert Henriksen Bell remains in 7th, and Hayden Gray still splits the pair of them. Jordan Taylor at the front end of affairs, not really pulling away from Kyle Felbus. Whilst he's got a 1.2 second gap, Kyle has a very similar gap over Harley Connolly. It's sort of that final step on the podium at the moment, which is really up for grabs. Luke Sindler getting closer and closer to Harley Connolly. Through sector 2 we go. A tight left at Agostini. We'll wait and see what happens in towards Oggie's. Luke Sindler, he looks like he's just sizing up that move at the moment. A little look there, just filling the mirrors. I think playing a bit of mind games there with Harley Connolly, making him feel like he's under pressure, and it might have worked a poor run through Oggie's, but Bit of a bump there from Luke Sintler, almost to push Harley forward on towards the Bentley straight through a very quick right-hander at Williams. The Bentley straight is now upon us, and Luke Sintler in the aerodynamic assistance all the way down towards Brundle and Nelson, and he's not really gaining. We did mention early on in the rounds whilst interviewing a couple of drivers about the aerodynamic assistance, and they say that the draft really doesn't have too much effect on these cars. I don't know whether Harley Connolly was going defensive there or he just slightly washed wide, and that has cost him the exit through Nelson. Through the bomb hole he will go, and Luke Sintler still applying that pressure, and now a little look to the inside on the way through Coram. Harley Connolly responds by going to the inside. You've got to be so careful and so committed to making a move here at Coram. Harley Connolly again doing what I mentioned earlier, tight on the way in, let the car wash wide. You can straighten up the braking. Good run through the final corner can lead you onto a good run all the way down the start-finish straight. The best of the runs, I think, there was made by Harley Connolly, because he's slowly starting just to edge away very, very slightly from Luke Sintler. Lewis Stannard has got the best seats in the house. He's watching from a little bit of a ways back at the moment. Fastest lap of the race goes the way of Kyle Felvers by the looks of that, a 2-minute 25.523. Through turn one we go once again. Luke Sintler just applying that pressure a little bit more and a little bit more, maybe trying to force the mistake. We're only just over a quarter of the way through. A very decisive move from Luke Sintler through the car to the inside, got it slowed down at the apex, but unfortunately by doing that, that's cost him the exit very slightly. Harley Connolly will now try and draw himself back up and alongside. It's going to be the long run all the way around the outside by the time we arrive at Palmer, and is he going to make it work? No, as the camber works against him through Palmer. We'll work our way towards Agostini once again, and Harley Connolly, having just lost that place, has got all the work to do if he wants to catch up, let alone try and work his way back through and past. But at the moment, Harley Connolly, he's got to focus his eyes forward, because if he starts to watch that rearview mirror, he will see Lewis Stannard get closer and closer and closer. Leo Bell in the background still fighting away with Albert Henriksen Bell, who hasn't really dropped Hayden Gray. Matt Guest, I think he was thrown slightly out of his rhythm with the contact earlier on, and that meant that he's dropped away now almost to the tune of 2 seconds back from Hayden Gray. At the moment, Harley Connolly, he's more or less the meat in the sandwich at the moment. He's got Luke Sintler at the road. Lewis Stannard just sat behind. Not necessarily equidistantly spread, but one mistake, he won't just lose time to the car up the road. It will mean that he'll fall into the grasp of the car behind, and then we'll be on the cusp not only of the podium, which he was a moment ago, but on the cusp of the top 5 as well. Back to Albert Henriksen Bell. He's still pushing forward, trying to keep in touch with Leo Bell. Down the Bentley straight we will go in towards Brundle and Nelson. If these two start to battle, you'd suspect they fall into the hands of Hayden Gray, who's not really too far away. I say that as he runs wide, so too does Matt Guest, and Oscar Abbott says, he says, watch this, I'll show you how to do it, and runs even wider than the pair of them. So it's just down to how this mid-pack plays out. We said this is where we need to be watching. Harry Dios and Olivia Kronoska pick up a place, and that's why so too does Nathan Snaith, pardon me, because Oliver Newton ran very wide on the exit of Nelson, and that meant that he's dropped right the way down to 15th place, unfortunately. And he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to catch back up to the top 2. The 2 teammates, for the moment, aren't too far away. 1 second apart between Jordan Taylor and Kyle Felvers. Let's have a look at the previous lap times. Kyle Felvers has been lapping quicker, albeit very, very marginally indeed. Only 300ths quicker as we crossed the line last time through. Nathan Snaith now sizing up a move on Olivia Kronoska, absolutely side by side as they cross the line. But Olivia Kronoska just got a little bit more speed there as they broke the beam and then enter turn 1 once again. A nasty bounce on the curb, however, that will push Olivia Kronoska wide and allow Nathan Snaith just to work his way up the inside. A little look up the inside now from Olivia in response, but it's not going to be enough. So Nathan Snaith has picked up 13th place, but he runs very, very wide indeed. That allows Olivia Kronoska back through. That will potentially throw everything back the way of Nathan Snaith, of Oliver Newton, pardon me, because Ollie Newton isn't really too far behind. A flash of the lights as they work their way through Palmer, and I think he was so focused on flashing his lights, it meant that he ran very, very wide, and the opportunity for maybe another overtake has all but dissipated at the moment. So Olivia Kronoska picking that place back, and you'd suspect Nathan Snaith is slowly getting a bit more frustrated. A small mistake having just made the position Olivia's mistake swapped them round. Nathan's mistake swapped them back round again. So we may see yet further weapons in the armoury in terms of what Nathan has got to do in the final, 10.5 minutes of this race. The lead gap is staying very much the same. Jordan Taylor and Carl Felber still around about a second apart. Luke Sintler has dropped away to the tune of 3 seconds now. Harley Connolly hasn't got too much to do in the way of attack. He might have to start thinking about defence, however, because Lewis Stannard seems to be getting closer and closer as well. We'll have a look further down. Who else have we got? Leo Bell is slowly getting closer to Lewis Stannard. Is slowly coming under pressure from Albert Henriksen Bell, pardon me. There is Hayden Gray. So Hayden Gray trying to close the gap between himself and Albert Henriksen Bell. Leo Bell isn't too far up the road, but he is applying that pressure rather substantially now to Lewis Stannard. It was a good run through the final corner. There's only 2 tenths between them. They pull out, so Leo Bell is slowly pulling alongside, drawing himself up towards the driver's door and almost pushed onto the grass there a little bit, I think, was Leo Bell. There's almost contact between the pair of them again. Bit of trading of paints, but down towards turn 1, Leo Bell does inherit 5th place. Into the top 5 goes Leo Bell. Lewis Stannard will want to fight back, and I think he was going to on the run up towards the Nelson hairpin, but it's not going to work. He's shown the outside. He's got to be careful not to lose too much momentum out there. Leo Bell chops off the nose and remains in 5th place. Lewis Stannard has to settle for 6th. All of that battling has slowly brought Albert Henriksen Bell just a little bit closer. And not too far away is Hayden Gray either, so don't rule those two out for potentially a top 5 place at the moment. All eyes on Leo Bell, I think, for the moment. The lead gap is still around about a second, so not too much to mention there. Nathan Snaith has worked his way back through and past Olivia Kronoska. In towards Agostini we go. And Lewis Stannard, it looks like he's there or thereabouts. He maybe needs to force that mistake. With 9 minutes to go, there's still potential. If you're going to extract a little bit more time, we could see this position change. However, since Leo Bella's got in front, it looks like he's just building up a little bit of breathing room, and that's all he needs to do to the end. But some rather I don't know how, not exactly sure how to word it. Some enthusiastic defending, I think, is probably the best way to put it, from Lewis Stannard down the start-finish straight. Leo Bell did manage to somehow find the gap and pick up that place as we go back down the Bentley Straight. Once again, these two the closest cars on circuit at the moment. Albert Henriksen Bell really isn't too far away, and I think he's slowly starting to gain on Lewis Stannard at the moment. So Williams, after it was popping up saying that it was a DNF, he has jumped back behind the wheel of his car, so we may see him go out and use this as a test session. What has happened to Oscar Abruzzese? He finds himself parked up on the left-hand side of the circuit. What is going on? It looks like he's struggling to get the car started. And are we going to see him work his way back onto the circuit? Yes, we are. So hopefully all is well behind the wheel of Oscar's car. Not exactly sure what happened there. Lewis Stannard still there or thereabouts. He's half a second away from Leo Bell. He's half a second in front of Albert Henriksen Bell. So he's in, again, just a tricky position because he wants to fight forward and try and pick up a place. But also, if he gets too focused on that, he may realise that he's under pressure. And by the looks of it, that is what is slowly starting to happen. Only a quarter of a second away now is Albert Henriksen Bell. Is he going to have a look up towards Wilson? No, not this time. Slightly deep on the brakes is Leo Bell, maybe to better the exit, but runs very, very wide once again, all over the grass. Everything could throw the way of Albert Henriksen Bell because it looks like he's worked his way through and past Lewis Stannard, but again, enthusiastic defending. And onto the grass goes Albert Henriksen Bell. He's still drawn himself up and alongside. And again, just a bit of a shoulder check that doesn't really need to happen on the exit of Palmer. He's got to be very, very careful because the stewards will be watching. Side by side up towards Agostini once again. Lewis Stannard, after looking like he could have made a position on Leo Bell there, I think he was focused on defending from Albert, and that meant that Leo Bell has escaped, and that's more or less nullified any sort of disadvantage that befell him with that mistake. So Lewis Stannard still sat there in 6th place, but all focus goes the way of Albert Henriksen Bell at the moment. It's 6th and 7th. Car number 91 and car number 42 absolutely nose to tail, fighting away for the final spot in that top 6. And let's have a look to see where Oscar Abruzzese has got back going and isn't struggling anymore by the looks of that. He's working his way up towards Agostini at the moment. So the lead gap's still around about a second. Jordan Taylor still leading Kyle Felvis. So the two HF2 racing cars doing very, very well indeed. 4.2 seconds clear of Luke Sintler sat there in second place. Very, very big moment on the brakes, unfortunately, from Albert Henriksen Bell. Slightly carried away, I think, from trying to brake so late. It just meant that the rear of the car started to let go, broke the traction, and somehow got the car slowed down and avoided the curb. So good avoidance driving from Albert Henriksen Bell, but that means he's fallen away very, very substantially from Stannard. And obviously, whilst Lewis Stannard is pulling away, that means that Hayden Gray is getting closer and closer and isn't too far away at all at the moment as they dive in towards Murray's. Hayden Gray is only, what, half a second away. Matt Guest will be watching this in the background, but there's been a couple of moments on this lap. He is washed very wide and over the curb, unfortunately, meaning he's losing further time. Fastest lap of the race still is going the way of Kyle Felvis with a 2-minute 25.099. So a very quick lap from Kyle Felvis posted earlier on in the race. But Albert Henriksen Bell, I think he's trying to now reassert himself onto the coattails of Lewis Stannard, who's just up the road, just dipping a wheel over the curb onto the grass once again, in towards Wilson late on the brakes as the nose dives into the floor, flicks the car in and is still pushing forward. Leo Bell still struggling with the exit by the looks of that. He was very much over the curb by the time the camera swung round onto him. But Albert, at the moment, with that small mistake earlier on, it cost him quite dear, but with, what, 4 minutes and 20 seconds of the race to go, we're still in with a shout of potential changes in position, both at the top and the bottom of the order. Oscar Abruzzese ticks another lap in the book, so it looks like he's back up and running without too many issues at the moment. Hayden Gray not too far away from Albert Henriksen Bell. He's within a second almost, or he was on the way in towards Agostini, but the better run made by Albert Henriksen Bell. He closes back up onto the tail of Lewis Stannard. We're back within almost half a second once again, up towards Oggies. And yeah, later on the brakes is Albert, but that may mean that he's got to brake more to try and get the car slowed down. But it is working for him at the moment because he's managing that gap very well. And if it keeps going the way it is, we may see a further change of position for that final spot in the top six. He knows he can't gain too much in the way of aerodynamic assistance, so immediately jumps over towards the racing line and where he would want to set the car up for the left at Brundle, the right at Nelson, within 0.4 of a second. These two undoubtedly are getting closer and closer. Two slightly different lines taken on the way through. The quicker line, by the looks of it, goes the way of Lewis Stannard. Well and truly, he's pulled away almost by, what, 4 or 5 tenths of a second as we work our way through that little section at the end of the Bentley Straight, through the bomb hole and then towards Coram. He's got a lot of work to do, does Albert Henriksen Bell. What, 9 tenths it's really come out to. So if he's got to, it seems like he's got to make Sector 1 really, really matter. A brilliant flick in towards the final corner, just slightly mistimed. Oscar Abruzzese says he's jumped right the way up to 10th place. I'm not exactly sure how that has happened, dropping down the order once again, but back up towards the front there is Kyle Felvis. We will just about get this lap and one more out of this race, but Kyle Felvis has well and truly got closer this time to Jordan Taylor. Jordan Taylor with his lights ablaze, Kyle Felvis still with his lights off. So in terms of racing driver language, he's not necessarily saying he's going to be pushing for that position. As to whereabouts they are in the championship, Kyle Felvis obviously came into this round leading quite comfortably over Jordan Taylor, who's sat there in 3rd place at the moment. But whether there'll be team orders here, I don't know. Maybe they'll just have to race to the line and hope that it will all sort itself out towards the latter stages of the season. Of course, we've still got another 20-minute full reverse grid race on the way. Nathan Williams is back on circuit, so it's good to see him back out, and we may see him do quite well in race 2. Of course, if he can take the checkered flag in this one, it might just pop him on pole position for race 2 in a few minutes' time. Through the final corner come those top two, 2 tenths apart. I'm guessing Kyle Felvis, whether he was hiding pace or there was a mistake from Jordan Taylor, I don't know, because they were, what, a second apart very consistently for the final, what, 10 minutes that we saw them. And now they're 2 tenths apart and getting closer and closer and closer once again. Down the Bentley Straight they will go. And very little, as we keep mentioning, in the way of aerodynamic assistance, meaning that it's pretty much just a waiting game by the time you get to the braking zone. on the run up towards Brundle and Nelson. Kyle Felver slightly tighter on the entry, meaning that he can get the car squared away for the exit. Initially quicker, however, is Jordan Taylor, meaning that the gap just popped out to almost half a second there for Jordan Taylor's lead. But with 50 seconds of the race to go, we will get one more lap out of this one. Through Coram go our top two. It's been a rather quiet race, I think, from Luke Sintler, ever since we sort of cleared up at the start, and then as soon as we were 5 minutes into the race, he was more or less left on his own, and he's got 4.1 seconds up the road to the leaders and 3.5 seconds back to Harley Connolly. He's all on his own, is Luke Sintler sat there in third place. Across the line once again, a quicker lap from Kyle Felvis, as you'd expect, as he has been getting closer and closer over the past couple of laps. On to the final lap of the race we go. Jordan Taylor still leading with quite the handsome margin compared to how we saw them at this stage on the lap prior. They were literally nose to tail, but closing up much more on the brakes is Kyle Felvis. Can he get the car fired out of the corner? Yes, he can, and maintains the margin that he closed down. Hayden Gray still within touching distance of Albert Henriksen Bell. Lewis Stannard still sat there in 6th place, but really some sort of rubber banding, maybe connection issue, meaning that the two came together. They both get away with it, so Jordan Taylor still leading the way. Kyle Felvis, albeit somewhat hindered, hopefully with no damage, is sat there in 2nd place. Luke Sintler still in 3rd, but a little bit closer to Kyle Felvis this time. I think Kyle now, yeah, just being careful, making sure he doesn't get too close to his teammate. You have seen a change of position further down. Hayden Gray and Albert Henriksen Bell absolutely side by side. Albert Henriksen Bell sat there in 6th place. Hayden Gray has to duck in behind. So what happened there, I don't know. But we may have seen a small mistake there from Hayden Gray, meaning that he has lost that place on the very final lap of the race. So it does throw back the way of Albert Henriksen Bell to maybe pick up an extra point or two. Leo Bell, ever since getting past Lewis Stannard, has pretty much been on his own in 5th place. Lewis, after some battles that we've seen throughout, has maintained 6th place. Albert Henriksen Bell, as we just saw, up into 7th place. Hayden Gray down in 8th. Through the final couple of corners for the final time will come Jordan Taylor as he works his way through Coram now. Nathan Williams, at the very final stage of the race, sets the fastest lap of the race, a 2:25.012, so he might just take a point away from Jordan Taylor here, but as far as Jordan Taylor's concerned, that is far from important, because he will pick up the race win here at Snetterton. Race 1 of round number 5 of the Junior Saloon Car Championship official eSeries does go the way of Jordan Taylor. Kyle Felvis, the second of the HFT cars, rounds out the top 2 for those two, and it is Luke Sintler coming over the line to round out your podium, followed then by Harley Connolly and Leo Bell. In what, 6 seconds time, we will see him towards the line. He had a couple of battles, managed to work his way up towards 5th place. Lewis Stannard crosses the line in 6th, a hard-fought 6th indeed. Albert Henriksen Bell finishes in 7th, followed then by Hayden Gray. And it is Matt Guest crossing the line in 9th. And to round out your top 10, just coming out of the final corner now, is Jake Wardle. So Jake Wardle towards the line. Harry Dios wasn't really too far behind, but didn't really have much to throw at him in the final stages of the race. Nathan Snaith, we saw him fighting away down in, what, 15th place at one point. He manages to recover quite well to 12th place. Then it is Olivia Kronoska towards the line in a few moments' time. She will pick up what is 13th place in the 899 machine. And it is Oscar Abruzzese, which we saw his race slightly hindered potentially by a mechanical problem. However, he does finish in 14th place. So Oscar Abruzzese crosses the line in 14th, and it is Oliver Newton. And we will see in a few moments' time Nathan Williams come towards the line, who is on another quick lap indeed. So we may see exactly what Nathan Williams can do in this one, because he's been getting quicker and quicker throughout the race since he joined us once again, and he's slowly starting to chip away at that time. I'm just keeping an eye on the sector times. He's done another purple sector 2, so purple sector 1, purple sector 2. Nathan Williams, the final car to come towards the line. We may see him improve upon what is already the fastest lap of the race. A 2-minute 25.012, the current fastest lap of the race. Nathan Williams towards the line into the 2-minute 24 straight away. 2-minute 24.703, albeit 6 laps down, does pick up a point for the fastest lap of the race. But into the commentary box are the top 3. So we'll go in reverse order. Luke Sindler. Luke, it seemed like that was quite a busy start to the race, and we mentioned it just then. You were pretty much left alone after that point. You were just running around. Was that a case of just hitting your marks and getting the car to the end? So we will try and grab Luke in just a few moments time. We'll jump in with Kyle, actually. Kyle, were you hiding pace at one point, because it seemed like, or was it maybe a mistake from Jordan? I'm not exactly sure what it was. We were trying to figure that out on the fly, but you were sort of very similarly distanced throughout the race. It was a second lap on lap on lap, and then we look in the final 5 minutes and you're 2/10 apart, so it seemed like it got close towards the final couple of stages.
Yeah, I think it's probably just a consistency thing. I mean, I was just, it's easier to follow a car than it is to lead someone. So I think in Jordan's point of view, he's got someone in his mirrors, so he's trying to put consistent laps, but he's also trying to watch his mirrors and just, you know, be wary of the driver behind. So I think it's a lot easier on my part to catch him than it is for him to pull away.
Yeah, absolutely, and we mentioned it a couple of times this evening, and I hope I'm proven right here, so it all lies with you, Kyle. The sausage curbs, definitely one to avoid here. They seem rather aggressive, as usual here at Snetterton, and we've seen a couple of drivers fall foul of that. Is that something that you keep an eye on? So obviously you hit one, and then that means that you run wide and pick up track limits as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think you want to avoid them as much as possible. These tiny little Saxos, they can't really take the curbs that well, so yeah, the suspension can't hack it, so try and avoid them as much as possible, and to be honest, it's a lot quicker to do that, so you actually stay on track, don't get track limit warnings, and yeah, you're a lot quicker.
And I would imagine as well, having a teammate in a championship as close as this is pretty valuable. So race 2, full reverse grid. Do you think you and Jordan, pardon me, will just be working together nose to tail, carving your way through the order, and then see where that leaves you at the halfway point?
Yeah, definitely. I think lap 1 is a sort of a case of every man for himself, really. You just try and get through, and then if you end up together for the rest of the race, then you try to push through together. I think at the start you can't really make a plan because you never know what's going to happen.
That makes sense. So race 2 on the way. Best of luck. I will hopefully get to speak to you again come the end of this evening. Luke, you are now with us. We did mention that you more or less just got left alone at one point. The first 5 minutes seemed fairly chaotic, a little bit of battling, and then after that it was just running around. So was that a case of just hit your marks, keep the consistency, keep the quick laps coming in, and bring the car home?
Yeah, definitely. I was just trying to be consistent throughout the race, really, and I was trying to catch up to the guys in front, but I felt like I couldn't really do it, so just keeping out of trouble was the best option for me.
And of course, a good haul of points as well. Is that going to be the sort of theme song you're going for throughout the rest of the season? Just pick up the points and see where that leaves you come round 8?
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. Just picking up points here and there will really help me out in the championship, so yeah.
And of course, a fabulous race 1 tends to lead to a rather busy race 2, because it means you're starting towards the very tail end of the order. So does your driving style change much heading into race 2, or is it sort of aggressive off the start and then focus on just chipping away after that?
Yeah, I'm going to have to focus on getting a good start and just being a bit cautious into turn 2, because it's a tight turn. And after that, just seeing how many places I can make up.
Well, keep your head down and best of luck for race 2, Luke. Kyle, we've already spoken to Kyle, pardon me. Jordan, you join us in the commentary box once again. It seems like we're forever finding reasons to compliment you and talk to you in the commentary box. Another race win, another big haul of points, and you close the gap to your teammates up at the head of affairs. So it's the championship is still all to play for, but we're at the midpoint of the season really now. So this is ideally where you want to pick up the points, and you're doing that exactly at the moment. So good confidence boost heading into race 2.
Yeah. As we all know, race 2 is always chaotic. As we saw at Thruxton, I know roughly how to get through the pack. It's just literally experience. That's where you do well in race 2. It's just experience. But I got lucky with race 1, to be honest. I think Nathan's having some technical issues. I know how it feels, so I do feel bad for him. But it's sim racing. It does happen. It's annoying, I know, but I'm lucky to get P1. I should have been P2 or P3, but we'll take it. We got it, so we'll see how we do in race 2.
Great stuff. So we've got race 2 looming. I'll let you go and get ready for that. Best of luck, and again, hopefully we get to speak to you towards the end of the evening.
Cheers.
Brilliant. Cheers, Taylor. So we quick chat there with a couple of the drivers. We will have a look at the grid in just a few moments' time to figure out how they will line up. You'd expect with Nathan Williams, after he did take the checkered flag, there he is on pole position. So Nathan Williams, he's been the quickest driver all night. He's had pole position. He's had the fastest lap. Race 1 didn't exactly go his way, but starting from pole position in race 2, can he pick up exactly where he left off just, 20 minutes ago? And potentially bring this car home in a race-winning position. He will have Ollie Newton lining up alongside. Then it will be Oscar Abruzzese, who's hopefully got rid of any sort of mechanical issues. Lights out, and away we go here at Snetterton for the second time this evening. It's a good start from Nathan Williams, not the best start from Ollie Newton. That means he has got to come over and defend almost immediately from Oscar Abruzzese. I've got a feeling he potentially picked the wrong side there, because he does now have Olivia Kronoska trying to work her way up the inside, bouncing over the curbs once again. Oscar Abruzzese is almost hung out to dry, and then slightly compromised there by Ollie Newton. So Ollie Newton sat there in second place. Olivia Kronoska, after starting in fourth, is potentially up towards P2 at the moment. Late on the brakes, the inside line on the run up towards Wilson. It gets very, very congested indeed. A bit of sort of nose to tail contact, but everybody gets it slowed down. Olivia Kronoska indeed up in second place. Harry Dios has found himself in third. Oscar Abruzzese in fourth. Ollie Newton, after a good start initially, the second phase didn't go his way. After trying to defend as best as possible, finds himself down in fifth place. He gets pinched towards the apex by Oscar Abruzzese. A slight nudge from behind, runs very, very wide on the exit of Palmer, dropping down the order, down into 8th, down into 9th. Unfortunately, Kyle Felvers is already up into 9th place now as Ollie Newton drops down to 10th. It's very busy as we all arrive at Agostini at the same time. Nathan Williams, everybody's more or less just a speck in the rearview mirror at the moment, but the very busy section of circuit is only getting busier at the moment. Kyle Felvers is trying to carve his way forward at the moment. Lewis Stannard was drawing himself up and alongside, but it didn't quite work. And then there's more and more contact. Nathan Snaith turned around, unfortunately, so Nathan Snaith, hopefully he got that car slowed down before it arrived at the barrier. Kyle Felvers up into 7th place. Albert Henriksen Bell down into 8th at the moment. Race 1 winner, Jordan Taylor, whereabouts has he got up to? He's got up into 8th place and is following his teammate. So that question that we sent to Kyle is clearly proving right at the moment. Every man for himself, but eventually they will work together, and they're already working together by the looks of this. Luke Sintler doing what he can to try and draw himself up and alongside Lewis Stannard. It's not quite working. Lewis going left, going right. He's got to be careful not to defend too many times. So that will slowly start to draw some attention. Late on the brakes, a big, big dive up the inside from Lewis Stannard. Brilliant perspective here, but contact, unfortunately, between Lewis Stannard and Albert Henriksen Bell. That washes Lewis Stannard wide. So Luke Sintler worked his way up the inside. So too did Hayden Gray. So it's all go in that mid-pack. Nathan Williams already almost 5 seconds clear. Olivia Kronoska sat there in 7th place. She will just be trying to focus forward and run away from Harry Dios at the moment, because I think he is more or less more bothered about defending from Oscar Abruzzese, but not the best run through the final corner, unfortunately, for Olivia Kronoska. We're almost going to be 4 wide as we come towards the start-finish line, so it is Olivia Kronoska on the very left-hand side of your screen. Harry Dias has picked up 2nd place. Olivia Kronoska in 3rd, make that 4th as Oscar Abruzzese works his way through and past. Harley Connolly has got the best seats in the house. Kyle Felvers will want to close his eyes and hope everything goes his way as they all arrive at turn 1. So Kyle Felvers currently sat there in what is 6th place at the moment. Olivia Kronoska runs wide. That will allow Kyle Felvers to work his way up the inside on the brakes. We arrive at Wilson. And Kyle Felvers indeed up into 5th place. Following him through is Jordan Taylor. Kyle Felvers now up to 4th as Oscar Abruzzese runs wide. Jordan Taylor battling in the background with Olivia Kronoska. So from 2nd down to 7th, unfortunately for Olivia, it's been a rotten start to lap number 2. All the way around the outside, he's trying it, is Harley Connolly, trying to work his way through and past Harry Dios. We'll work our way down towards Agostini, and we might be able to just about grab a breath before it all starts again. Door-to-door contact between the pair of them. Harry Dios gets elbowed towards the middle of the circuit, which means he can defend as best as possible. Harley Connolly is on the outside. That might just edge the door open for Kyle Felvers, but a good exit there from Harley Connolly. That might just about put him up into 2nd place by the time we arrive at Hamilton, and it does indeed. Can he take the apex? Yes, he can. So Harley Connolly for Empire Racing in the number 12 machine is up into 2nd place. Kyle Felvers late on the brakes on the inside up towards Oggies. And up the inside of Harry Dios goes Kyle Felvis after starting towards the very, very tail end of the order in the space of just a lap and a half. Kyle Felvis already up into your provisional podium places. Harry Dios is wanting to go forward and potentially try and attack, but he's also got to worry about defending maybe a little bit now from Jordan Taylor. Or if you were Harry, would you let Jordan through and just sit on him and let Jordan put in the hard work, let him chase his teammate, and you just stick with him? Oscar Abruzzese is in 6th place, but just about a second back. Olivier Kronoska still not too far away. Matt Guest, I think he's trying to work his way up through the inside of Olivier Kronoska as we arrive towards Brundle Nelson. Big contact in the background and involved Olivier Kronoska and Albert Henriksen Bell. I think Matt Guest tried to send the lunge up the inside, maybe contact with himself and Albert Henriksen Bell. That pushed Henriksen Bell into Olivier Kronoska. How that all played out, I don't know, and I may be wrong, so apologies to any of the drivers there if you were named incorrectly. But Leo Bell on the cusp of the top 10 at the moment. Kyle Felvis, his next target will be Harley Connolly. Bouncing over the curbs is Harley. That will have cost him a little bit of momentum on the exit, and you can see it now. Kyle Felvis getting closer and closer and closer. You'd expect him to be drawn up and alongside by the time they arrive at turn 1. Fastest lap of the race goes the way of Nathan Williams with a 2-minute 5.406. Is that immediately bettered? No, not this time, as everybody's been battling since the start of the race. Jordan Taylor has dropped back just a little bit. Kyle Felvis unable to work his way through, but sells the dummy, forces Harley Connolly to go defensive. Big moment for Harley Connolly. The rear end of the car tried to overtake the front, as I think he was trying to work his way through and past Harry Dios. It doesn't quite work for him, which means he's now under pressure from Oscar Abruzzese, or is he? Because he's back up the inside as we arrive at the Wilson hairpin. A bit of contact between the pair of them, but Jordan Taylor, is he going to be in 3rd place? No, not on the timing as of yet. They're drawn absolutely neck and neck as we arrive at Palmer. On the outside, it's very tricky because the camber works against you all the way around the outside. Jordan Taylor somehow manages to make that work. So Jordan Taylor up into 4th place, does manage to work his way through and past Harry Dios. Kyle Felvis is indeed in 2nd place after the brilliant move that we saw, the switchback. As we go through turn 1, very late on the brakes from Oscar Abruzzese. How he got that slowed down, I will never know. But Nathan Williams leading the way by 9 seconds already, with Kyle Felvis sat there in 2nd place, Harley Connolly in 3rd place, Jordan Taylor with his newly inherited 4th, Harry Dios in 5th, Oscar Abruzzese somehow getting the car slowed down for Agostini means that he finds himself in 6th place. A bit of contact between himself and Matt Guest as we arrive in towards Oggy's. Brilliant optimist is Matt Guest. He tried to throw the car up the inside, Luke Sindler. So Luke Sindler somehow read that situation perfectly. Contact between Abruzzese and Matt Guest that forced them both wide. Luke Sindler late on the brakes, 2 for the price of 1 as we went through Oggy's. Through Williams we go, and Luke Sindler very much comfortable in 6th place. Oscar Abruzzese has to settle for 7th at the moment. Lewis Stannard now separating Abruzzese and Matt Guest in 8th. Leo Bell still sat there in 10th place. The mid-pack is really congested. Abruzzese with a big moment, so too does Lewis Stannard, unfortunately losing the tail of the car. I think maybe spinning out of sympathy there. He saw Abruzzese with a bit of a moment, and Olivier Kronoska tries to do the same, collects the moment quite comfortably and does rejoin the circuit. But unfortunately for Lewis Stannard, he finds himself right at the tail end of the order with a small mistake there, just spinning out of sympathy, I think, for Oscar Abruzzese. Up the road is Lewis Stannard. He's slowly, Luke Sindler. He's slowly starting to apply the pressure on towards Harry Dios now. They're going to be drawn up alongside as they come towards the start-finish line. So the battle for 5th place now, a final spot in that top 5, very much up for grabs. Absolutely neck and neck as they cross the line. Luke Sindler is in front, but he is on the outside. Can he get fully past by the time they arrive at turn 1? No, I don't think they can. Yes, he can, because he can just about make the apex, force Harry Dios to take the curb, which sort of washes away any momentum that he has, and that means that Luke Sindler up into 5th place after a very good move on the lap prior. He's having to defend now all the way around the outside. A bit of contact between the pair of them, tries to rejoin and does manage to hold on to 5th place. So Luke Sindler, after being in what was, I think, 9th place just a few moments ago, is all the way up into 5th at the moment. So a brilliant drive so far from the race 1 3rd place finisher. Nathan Snaith and Lewis Stannard both off the road at the same time. Whether that was related to each other or not, or they both just outbrake themselves, but at the moment, Kyle Felvis in 2nd place, not really closing up on Nathan Williams. Harley Connolly still finds himself in 3rd place. Big moment for Oscar Abruzzese. That car maybe not set up quite to his liking, because there's a lot of oversteer in that car, and immediately tried to come over onto the racing line. That meant that I think that was it Leo Bell? Yes, it was. It was Leo Bell that just got collected completely inadvertently, I think, there from Oscar Abruzzese. Hayden Gray has picked up a place and he's up into 9th at the moment. That's where it was. Jordan Taylor, race 1 winner, he's up into 4th place. Luke Sintler, who finished P3 in race 1, is up into 5th. Then it is Harry Darson, the man we're looking at, Matt Guest. He is under pressure from Leo Bell, Hayden Gray and Oscar Abruzzese having a little battle in the background as well. Race 2, as ever, never failing to disappoint here at Snetterton. It's been very, very close indeed. So for the moment, we're just keeping an eye to see how the order may start to level itself out. Oscar Abruzzese, the car much more settled through Brundle and Nelson this time. We're only at the halfway point, so Nathan Williams continuing just to pull away, and he's set an overall fastest sector 1, an overall fastest sector 2, the fastest lap of the race so far, a 2 minutes 25.132. You'd expect that to be absolutely dwarfed by this lap, and it is a 2 minute 24.932, back into the 24s for Nathan Williams. He's only getting quicker the deeper into round 5 we go. Kyle Felvers crosses the line and is sort of improving his personal fastest laps, but isn't really within touching distance of Nathan Williams. Still that all-important half a second away. Harley Connolly still sat there in 3rd place. Jordan Taylor 2 seconds away. It's been a brilliant round so far from Harley, and he's kept his nose clean and kept himself out of trouble. There is Leo Bell. He's getting closer and closer to Matt Guest. On the brakes in towards Wilson, really starts to close up. That will eventually, I think, get the better of Matt Guest, because he will see how good Leo is on the brakes. Harry Dios not too far up the road either, so this could be a 3-horse race for final spot in the top 6. Through Palmer we go. Leo using all of the road and pinpoint precision as well, just about nibbling at the curb. Heading towards Agostini once again. A little look, just filling the mirrors again, making Matt Guest's job that little bit more harder, because he will slowly start to focus on defence, lose time, and that maybe get the better of Matt. But Leo is now looking up the inside. We work our way through Palmer, very committed move, and that means that it will be the outside as we arrive at Oggies. So later on the brakes is Leo Bell. Can he go for the cutback, take the wide line in, the slightly shorter line out? No, that's cost him a bit of time, because Hayden Gray isn't really too far away, and he's got Oscar Abruzzese not too far away from the tail of his car either. So from 5th, or from 6th down to 10th at the moment, it is very, very close indeed. All 5 of those cars not far away from each other at the moment at all. Nathan Williams almost 10 seconds clear. By the time Kyle Felbers got into 2nd place, it was 9.5 seconds. It's still around about that at the moment, but Nathan Williams, it has been a brilliant drive from him so far. Bouncing over the curbs just a little bit there is Harry Dios. A big moment in the background, and Jake Wardle bouncing over the curbs, lost the rear of the car, and unfortunately in the braking zone into Brundle, it just meant that he lost the rear end of the car and bounced over the curb. He will have to rejoin as safely as possible, almost collected there by Lewis Stannard. I think Olivia Kronoska had a bit of a moment as well. Hayden Gray has dropped Oscar Abruzzese just a little bit on this lap, meaning that he can focus forward and try and work his way through and past Leo Bell. We come towards the start-finish line with just under 7.5 minutes of the session remaining. I think we saw a small mistake last time through from Kyle Felvers, because Nathan Williams is now almost 10.5 seconds clear at this stage in the race. Harley Connolly still sat there in 3rd place, Jordan Taylor 4th, Luke Sintler in 5th, Harry Dios in 6th, Matt Guest 7th, and then we get to this battle between Leo Bell and Hayden Gray for 8th and 9th places. Oscar Abruzzese just with the best seats in the house watching along, but he can't get too complacent because Albert Henriksen Bell isn't too far away, and then we get the breathing space back to Olivia Kronoska in 12th place. She is fighting away with Lewis Stannard. But at the moment, these 4 drivers all fighting away. Hayden Gray, Leo Bell, Matt Guest and Harry Dios. And if they all battle a little bit too much, we will see Oscar Abruzzese and Albert Henriksen Bell in on the mix as well. Back down the short straight, down towards Agostini. Can be quite a tricky corner, but a very good overtaking opportunity. We are seeing now as well Matt Guest get closer and closer and closer to Harry Dios. There's only a 10th separating the pair of them, and in their battling, that has allowed Leo Bell to close up in the background. Matt Guest, he's forced to the outside, bounces over the curbs, but can he remain on the inside as we arrive at Oggies? Potentially so, very equal on the brakes. Matt Guest nibbles the curb, gets the shorter run on the exit, almost contact between the pair of them, so they're absolutely side by side. Leo Bell had an idea of making it 3 wide, decided against it as we work our way now through Williams on towards the Bentley straight, absolutely door handle to door handle. Leo Bell can't really go anywhere. That's brought Hayden Gray back in on the mix as well, so side by side for 6th place. Matt Guest just about in front of Harry Dios at the moment. That'll be the outside for Brundle and Nelson. Hayden Gray is now, he's had a brilliant run on towards the Bentley straight, and he's trying to draw himself alongside Leo Bell. So we're 2 by 2 arriving at Brundle and Nelson. How are they going to sort this out? Leo Bell, discretion is the better part of valour, and decides to almost subcede the position on the way in, but fight for it on the way out. Side by side now with Hayden Gray once again, but Leo Bell can't quite work his way back through. So Hayden Gray up into 8th place as they work their way through the bomb hole. The top 2, after all of that, remain as they were. Harry Dios remains in front of Matt Guest. Hayden Gray did indeed work his way through and past Leo Bell. All of that battling is slowly bringing Oscar Abratzese back closer in towards that little quartet. And Albert Henriksen Bell not too far away at all. As we work our way on towards the start-finish straight once again, side by side for Harry Dios and Matt Guest. Look at the run in the background, because Leo Bell getting closer and closer and closer, drawn himself up and alongside. It's like he found another gear. Hayden Gray not with the best run through the final corner, but Oscar Abratzese is trying to do the same as well, switching to the left, to the right, to the left, and maybe a couple of moves there, unfortunately, for Hayden Gray. The defence didn't really work for him. That meant he's washed all the way wide on the exit of Ritchie's and lost the position to Oscar Abratzese. Leo Bell did indeed manage to work his way through and past Matt Guest, but Matt Guest fighting back as they work their way through Wilson. So Leo Bell started the lap in 9th place. He's already up into 7th after working his way through and past Hayden Gray and Matt Guest. Oscar Abratzese has well and truly become a part of this battle. So 5 cars all fighting over the final spot in the top 6. There is Matt Guest. He will want to reassert himself back towards the front end of that order, because he does have Leo Bell and Harry Dios up there. Harry, I'm assuming, will be blissfully unaware of what's going on behind him. All of that battling, he will just be focusing forward and trying to chip away the time of what's left in this race. The lead gap up to 10.6 seconds now, so Nathan Williams lapping very, very quickly indeed. Last time over the beam, he did a 2-minute 24.969, the fastest lap of the race, a 2-minute 24.932, so the consistency is brilliant from Nathan Williams at the moment. And it is Carl Felvis still there in 2nd place. He's got a 2.5 second lead over Harley Connolly, who's 1.2 seconds clear of Jordan Taylor. Keep an eye on Jordan. He might get a little bit closer towards the tail end of this race. Luke Sintler finds himself in 5th. And then we're at this battle with Harry Dios, Leo Bell, Matt Guest, and Oscar Abratzese, and Hayden Gray in this one as well. Not too far away is Albert Henriksen Bell either. He's only, what, half a second away, but we're side by side once again. I said that Harry Dios might not know what's going on behind him, but he definitely does now, because Leo Bell is trying to wedge his way through. Harry Dios doing everything he can to defend, but I think it was over-eager. He tried to work his way through, and it doesn't work for him. He pinches Leo Bell towards the apex. It doesn't work for him, so Harry Dios finds himself spinning through 180 degrees, pointing the wrong way. Did it really need to happen? I'm not 100% sure. So Harry Dios now down into 11th place, make that 12th because Lewis Stannard has gone through and passed. So that means that Leo Bell inherits 6th place. Then it is all go in the background, because Matt Guest is trying to keep up with Leo Bell up at the head of that little battle. Bouncing over the curbs goes pretty much absolutely everybody. Then it is Hayden Gray and Oscar Abratzese. Albert Henriksen Bell, the battle has come to him. We saw him down in 12th place, and now he's just trying to work his way, I think, maybe in towards the top 6 if all goes his way. Harry Dios, unfortunately, is now still stationary on the road, potentially with some damage on that car, or can't get the car struck back into life, meaning that he's down in 16th place, and I don't think will play a further part in this race. So for the moment, Hayden Gray is now trying to attack Matt Guest. It will be the inside for Wilson if he can be brave enough on the brakes, which he can. Draws himself alongside, slightly deep on the brakes. Hayden Gray has to turn in, or Matt Guest, pardon me, has to turn in at some point, but unfortunately there was still a slight overlap between the pair of them. This time it sorts itself out, so Matt Guest remains in 2nd place, or remains in 7th place, or does he? Because Hayden Gray, no, this time he gave it a go up the inside once, he gave it a go up the inside twice, but the 3rd time didn't pull off for him as he'd expected. The big winner out of all of this is Leo Bell, because he was in 7th place. I think we saw him down in 10th, then 9th, then 8th, then back up to 7th, fighting for 6th, and he's now, what, 1.3 seconds clear of everything going on behind. There is some very, very eager flashing of the lights there. That looks like it's Albert Henriksen Bell doing what he can just to distract the cars up the road. Oscar Abratzese not too far behind at all. They all get closer and closer together, almost a concertina effect as they arrive in towards Oggies. Through Williams, they will go back onto the Bentley straight. Albert Henriksen Bell riding on board with him now. You can see very similar lines that all of the drivers take. That's how fine the margins are to try and pick up any sort of position. You've really got to be doing something very, very special, because otherwise you're pretty much doing the same as everybody else. Albert Henriksen Bell now a big look up to the inside, decides against it, but late on the brakes, closes up, gets the car pitched in. A bit of a wobble, unfortunately, half the way through, so that means that he loses time to Hayden Gray and falls back into the clutches of Oscar Abruzzese, who really isn't too far behind at all now. They work their way through the bomb hole, and it's almost 2 pairs at the moment. I would say, yeah, Matt Guest is going to be really invested in defending from Hayden Gray. Then we get that small gap to Albert Henriksen Bell and Oscar Abruzzese in towards Murray's once again. Leo Bell up the road is checked out, and he's just trying to extend the margin and minimise the need for any further defending in this race. We go on to the final lap of the race as Nathan Williams is just working his way through the Wilson hairpin. But we're going to be side by side, I think, between Matt Guest and Hayden Gray by the time we arrive at turn 1. Matt Guest is still sat there in 7th place. Albert Henriksen Bell's had a brilliant run in. He's really starting to close up. Oscar Abruzzese has all of a sudden fallen right the way out of the mix. Through turn 1 we go. A couple of the cars wash wide. Albert Henriksen Bell this time gets the best run. He throws the car to the inside, and unfortunately, Hayden Gray, he was very, very aggressive on the defending, and that meant that there was contact between the pair of them. So Matt Guest has now had everything thrown his way. Hayden Gray being very, very aggressive on the defence. That means that himself, Albert Henriksen Bell and Oscar Abruzzese has all come together. Matt Guest has got a bit of breathing room and just needs to get this car towards the checkered flag now. Whereabouts is Nathan Williams? He's just working his way through Oggies and up towards Williams now. As we arrive towards Agostini, Leo Bell, you can see the gap that he's built. He's massively jumped at the opportunity of the cars behind battling and just pulled away as best as possible. Albert Henriksen Bell still the meat in the sandwich at the moment. He wants to go forward and work his way through and past Hayden Gray, but with Hayden's defending, it's going to be very, very tricky indeed. Up towards Oggies we will go, and he can't quite force the move, but a big lunge up the inside, filling the mirrors. That's cost him a bit of time, maybe, because that will bring Oscar Abruzzese back in onto the stage. Maybe not that time, however. It looks like he didn't get the best run himself either through Oggies. Through Williams we go onto the Bentley straight for the final time. Nathan Williams is working his way through Coram after not the performance he would have wanted in race 1. It means that in race 2, he started on pole position. Through the final corner for the final time this evening comes Nathan Williams, car number 5. Race 1, not what he wanted. Race 2 has gone all his way. Fastest lap of the race. He picked up pole position at the start of the night. It will be maxed points scored in race 2. Nathan Williams, your race 2 winner here at Snetterton. What a performance. He jumped at that pole position and made the most of it. Kyle Felvis, a massive haul of points from him tonight. 2 second places go the way of Kyle Felvis, and he will be chased to the line with our driver of the round, Harley Connolly. Crosses the line to pick up 3rd place, another big haul of points. And driver of the round, Jordan Taylor, finishes in 4th place after following on from a win in race 1. Luke Sintler, 3rd place in race 1, 5th in race 2, another good haul of points from him. Leo Bell, a hard-fought 6th place, carved his way through the order. And how did this lot sort themselves out? Matt Guest will finish in 7th, Hayden Gray will finish in 8th, followed then by Oscar Abruzzese, Albert Henriksen Bell towards the line, and then we await the arrival of Lewis Stannard. So Lewis Stannard will then pick up what is 11th place, and Nathan Snaith crossing the line in 12th, followed then by Jake Wardle, and it will be Olivia Kronoska before a short wait for Ollie Newton. We're hearing Harry Dias did have some hardware issues, maybe the contact with the wall, or in the best attempts to save it, meant that his wheel unfortunately disconnected. So such a shame for Harry Dias, fighting hard in 6th place. But there is Ollie Newton, the 15th and the final finisher here at Snetterton this evening. Very well done to Ollie Newton, giving it the time to get to the end of the race. So obviously we will have a chat with our top 3 and our driver of the round, who also happens to be in the top 3 as well. So let's see how, I guess that the big thing to take away from this round, it just shows that whilst you might think you're down and out, you can still go and pull out a performance like Nathan Williams did. What a performance in race 2. Race 1 didn't exactly go his way, but race 2 he got to the front and then won by, I think it was almost 12 seconds by the time we got to the line. So a very good performance indeed. We'll go in reverse order as usual. Harley Connolly, you crossed the line, P3, whether you knew it or not, you're driver of the round as well. So you've won yourself a pair of 3M Racing UK gloves. So you've got that to look forward to as well. A good haul of points. It's been a pretty much a standout round. You kept it very clean. You scored some good points. Do you think this is exactly what you needed coming out of the winter break?
Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. P4 and P3. I've got Luke right behind me in Championship, so I'm just trying to keep ahead of him, and I think I put points on him this round, so I'm happy with that. It's a good result.
Yeah, it really seemed to work for you this evening. Is Snetterton a circuit you like, maybe one that you don't, or were you surprised by anything this evening?
I mean, last season didn't go well. Wasn't a big fan of it, but I put in too many laps over Christmas, and it's paid off, thankfully. So I'm happy with that. It's a good result.
Yeah, so what you're saying is you need a 2-week break in between rounds to get those laps in. But of course, again, another good performance this evening, a big confidence boost as you mentioned, and like that good haul of points will just stand you in good stead towards the end of the season. But before we let you go, anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Cheers to Ricey, he's helped me all this, and cheers to Jordan for helping me on the track and teaching me. So cheers to both of you.
Great stuff. Cheers, Harley. We'll see you in a week's time at Anglesey. Carl Felvers back in the commentary box once again. Again, just a regular face at the moment. Another good haul of points, 2 second places, and that's exactly what you need at this stage in the season. You said that race 2 would be busy, but it seemed like you jumped at it. It took you a lap and a half to work your way to second place. How did you do that?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a case of just sort of you need to know how people are going to race and you need to predict where people are going to be, and if you can do that you can get through the pack. I think just looking where everyone is, just expecting what they're going to do and then trying to counter on that, and I think that's how I made my moves, and we just got up to second, and then obviously Nathan started right at the front anyway, so there's no hope in catching him, but we settled for second and I had a great race.
Yeah, it really seemed to work, and again, it's a recurring question in terms of the confidence boosts that drivers can get. But do you think this consistency at some point will come to a head, or is this just all about sort of seat time, putting the time in, learning the circuit, learning the little bits that you can find, maybe an extra 100th, an extra 1,000th even, with how close this championship is, and then just seeing where that leaves you? How important is that practice going into a night?
Yeah, definitely. I think Snetterton, I had no confidence on this track. I think I was more confident at Cadwell being 4 wheels off the ground than I was here 4 wheels on the ground. So I think it's not one of my favourite tracks, but I put the practice in, learnt the lines, and learnt what the car would do where, and that definitely helped me. And I think going into every other track from now, I just need to put a bit more practice in, and hopefully should do the same.
Great stuff. Well, same question to you. Obviously, anybody you'd like to thank or shout out before we let you go?
Probably my family. They're all watching and supporting. They always support every week, so yeah, big shout out to them.
Great stuff. Cheers, Carl, and we'll see you in a week's time at Anglesey.
Thank you.
And the first time this evening, Nathan Williams in the commentary box. Race 1 didn't exactly go your way for one reason or another, but what a way to bounce back. Qualifying was brilliant, the only driver to get into the 24s. And as soon as you joined back in race 1, fastest lap of the race, so you picked up a bonus point for that one. And race 2, wow, it was pretty much lights to flag victory. At no point did you sort of falter, and the fastest lap, so max points scored in race 2. What a way to end the night.
Yeah, obviously I think great way to end the night with taking maximum points final race, because I think overall it's not been the best round, but I think for my drive in it being one of my best rounds, obviously because I couldn't really compete in race 1. If you remove that, I took the maximum amount of points I realistically had the chance of obtaining, which I'm really happy about.
Yeah. The pace shown tonight definitely sort of shone brighter than most. You only driver to get into the 24s in either of the races. Anglesey in a week's time, a circuit famed for its views, but I'm sure you don't really have much time to admire the views once you're behind the wheel of one of these Saxos fighting hard with everybody else out on circuit. Is that a circuit that you know well? Maybe a new one to learn? How are you feeling going into that one?
done a bit of driving for it for the team challenge in a Civic, which is close enough. But obviously, I think there's a bit to learn, but I think I've got good enough experience on it. Just about putting what I know about the track into the Saxo and hopefully doing as well as possible.
Yeah, well, great stuff. Congratulations on a fabulous race too, and it was great to see you join back in race one, just to show that whilst it might not have gone your way, you've still got the pace, and we're looking forward to seeing that all come together once again in a week's time at Anglesey. Anybody you'd like to say a quick shout out to before we let you go?
I'd like to thank out my family, especially my dad, for helping to sort out the internet and probably calm me down between races. Just then, after probably wasn't the happiest with how race one went, especially for him convincing me to go out and get the bonus point in race one. So I'd like to thank my dad and my family, and my dad especially.
Great stuff. Cheers, Nathan. Great to chat to you, and we'll see you in a week's time.
Thank you.
So great to have a chat there with our top three, and of course our driver of the round as well. And what a story we have just made here at Snetterton for round 5 of the championship. In a week's time, as we mentioned, the 11th of January for round 6, we head to Anglesey, the coastal circuit. It is a fabulous circuit, not only to spectate from, to drive, to commentate at, so we'll look forward to joining you there as well. Round 7, Alton Park, quite a tight and twisty circuit, but the drivers are pretty much used to it at this point, having visited Cadwell early on in the circuit, and as we mentioned earlier on, back to exactly where it started, Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit, closer than ever. And that what a way to have the championship finale, what a place to have it as well. But obviously a massive thank you to everybody watching this evening. Myself, Jack Worrell in the commentary box, Tom O'Farrell from 2F Media Productions, broadcast director, showing us all of the beautiful images we've been watching this evening. Mick Sutton, the series organiser, the race director and safety car driver, not so much safety car driver this evening for Scott Thorne, and the clerk of the course, who may or may not have a busy couple of days on the way, Craig Cherney. But of course, thank you to everybody that supports PASR as well, Free UK, Pro Sim Rig, Monrig, Monte Carlo, just to name a few. But thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in a week's time at Anglesey. Bye bye.